Tommy Orange's There There, 2018, is a groundbreaking debut novel that explores the lives of contemporary urban Native Americans. Set primarily in Oakland, California, the novel dismantles romanticized, reductive images of Native peoples by presenting a polyphonic narrative featuring 12 interconnected characters. Their stories converge at the Big Oakland Powwow, a cultural gathering that becomes the dramatic and symbolic climax of the novel. The title, There There, is drawn from a line in a song by Radiohead but also references Gertrude Stein's famous quote about Oakland: "There is no there there." For Orange, this phrase encapsulates the displacement and erasure experienced by Native people, especially those disconnected from their ancestral homelands. The novel interrogates what it means to be indigenous in contemporary America, where Native identity is often invisibilized, stereotyped, or misunderstood. With urgent prose, complex characters, and historical insight, There There gives voice to stories too long left untold. It is not just a narrative, it is a powerful act of cultural reclamation and resistance. Prologue. A brief history of violence and erasure. The novel opens with a powerful prologue that provides a condensed, brutal history of Native genocide, forced relocation, and cultural erasure. Orange confronts myths about Native disappearance, critiquing the colonial narrative of extinction. He writes of Native representation in media, from mascots to westerns to sports teams, and the psychic toll this takes on real Native people. The prologue establishes the central themes of cultural survival, identity fragmentation, and generational trauma, setting the stage for the stories to come. Part 1. Remain. The first section introduces key characters, many of whom are preparing to attend or perform at the upcoming Big Oakland Powwow, each for different reasons. Tony Loneman, a young man with fetal alcohol syndrome, deals with stigma and invisibility. Called the Drone, due to his quiet presence, he's recruited into a scheme to rob the powwow, but his narrative voice reveals unexpected depth and self-awareness. Dean Oxendine is an aspiring documentary filmmaker. Inspired by his late uncle, he applies for a grant to record the stories of Native people in Oakland. He hopes to capture voices that are ignored, challenging erasure through storytelling. Opal Viola Victoria Bear Shield and her half-sister Jackie Red Feather are older women shaped by historical trauma. As children, they were taken to Alcatraz during the Indian occupation of 1969 with their mother. Now, Opal is raising her grandsons, Orville, Lonnie, and Luther, while Jackie struggles with alcoholism and seeks reconciliation with her family. Orville Red Feather, a teenager, wants to dance at the powwow. He learns about his heritage through YouTube videos and private self-study, reflecting the fragmented and digitized form of cultural transmission for urban Native youth. Edwin Black, a lonely, overweight young man of mixed heritage, is trying to find his Native father. He lands a job with the powwow committee and becomes a key figure in organizing the event. As these characters move through Oakland, their personal stories begin to intersect. What binds them is not just blood or tribal affiliation, but a shared longing for connection, identity, and healing. Part 2. Return. The second part deepens our understanding of the characters. Jackie, now sober, travels back to Oakland for the powwow and attempts to rebuild her relationships, especially with Orville and her estranged sister, Opal. Calvin Johnson, a part-time security guard and cousin to Charles, becomes entangled in the powwow heist without fully understanding its implications. Daniel Gonzalez, the mastermind behind the robbery, 3D prints guns and coordinates with Tony and others. His motivations stem from poverty and alienation, but also a twisted sense of justice. Octavio, another key figure in the heist, believes the powwow prize money could help his family survive. He recruits Tony, Calvin, and Charles for the plan. The second section builds tension. Though most characters are unaware of the planned robbery, Readers begin to anticipate the collision of hope and violence that awaits at the powwow. Part 3. Powwow. The climactic third section unfolds at the Oakland Coliseum, where the Big Oakland Powwow takes place. Native families, dancers, elders, and vendors gather to celebrate culture, identity, and community. For many characters, this is a moment of reclamation and visibility. Orville, dressed in full regalia, prepares to dance in public for the first time. His brothers and grandmother cheer him on. Dean sets up his booth, hoping to record interviews. Edwin meets his long-lost father, Harvey, and begins to feel a sense of belonging. But the event takes a tragic turn. Tony, Octavio, Charles, and Calvin arrive with the intention of stealing the powwow's prize money. When the heist goes wrong, gunfire erupts, and chaos follows. Several characters are injured, and others are killed. Tony, who had begun to question the robbery and viewed the powwow as a sacred space, is shot while trying to prevent more bloodshed. The final chapters end in ambiguity and grief, leaving readers with a sense of unfinished mourning, but also of survival. Character analysis. Tony Loneman. Tony is perhaps the most tragic and empathetic figure. Living with the effects of fetal alcohol syndrome, Tony has been labeled and dismissed his entire life. Yet his internal monologue reveals a perceptive and self-aware young man, painfully conscious of how the world sees him. His decision to participate in the powwow heist stems from desperation and marginalization, but his journey is also one of quiet resistance. At the powwow, he experiences a rare moment of dignity. His final act of trying to stop the violence transforms him into a reluctant hero. Orville Red Feather. Orville symbolizes the new generation of urban native youth. Disconnected from tribal lands and elders, he learns about his heritage online and practices dancing in secret. His desire to dance at the powwow is a yearning to connect, to be seen as native despite not growing up on a reservation. Orville's journey reflects the challenges of reconstructing identity from fragments. He is brave, hopeful, and sincere. His injury at the powwow marks a painful rite of passage, suggesting the cost of cultural visibility in a hostile world. Jackie and Opal. These sisters represent the intergenerational trauma that shapes Native families. Taken to Alcatraz as children during the 1969 occupation, they experienced abandonment and sexual violence, both literal and symbolic of systemic abuses. Jackie, recovering from addiction, embodies the struggle for redemption. Opal, pragmatic and protective, reflects the quiet strength of women who hold families together. Together, they represent the survivors of colonization's long shadow. Dean Oxendine. Dean is a stand-in for Tommy Orange himself, a storyteller, an archivist, and a seeker. His mission to record Native voices is a response to invisibility and silencing. Through his interviews, Dean seeks to build a new narrative, one that affirms Native presence and multiplicity. Dean is not a passive observer. His project is a form of activism. He is documenting a people who are not gone, but who have been forcibly scattered, silenced, and misrepresented. Edwin Black. Edwin's mixed-race identity, social anxiety, and isolation speak to the fragmented experiences of many modern Native people. He is intellectual, awkward, and unsure of his place in the world. His arc, connecting with his father, working for the powwow, represents the long, nonlinear path toward belonging. Themes and analysis. 1. Urban indigeneity and displacement. One of the novel's central contributions is its focus on urban Native life. By centering Oakland instead of the reservation, Orange challenges the dominant narrative that indigenous authenticity requires proximity to traditional lands or rural life. The characters in there are not out of place, they are redefining place itself. The city, though shaped by colonization and gentrification, becomes a site of survival and renewal. The powwow is symbolic, a temporary, constructed homeland in the absence of a permanent one. 2. Storytelling as resistance. Each character's narrative contributes to a polyphonic chorus of voices resisting erasure. The use of first-person chapters allows readers to hear directly from individuals often marginalized in mainstream literature. Dean's documentary project is metafictional. It mirrors Orange's own purpose as a novelist. Storytelling becomes a means of survival, of reclaiming history, and of asserting existence. 3. Historical trauma and intergenerational inheritance. The novel explores how trauma, both personal and collective, is passed down. Characters like Jackie and Opal are shaped by the violence of assimilation policies, foster care, and broken families. Their children and grandchildren carry the residues of this pain, even if they don't know the full stories. Addiction, depression, alienation, all are symptoms of a deeper historical wound. Yet, Orange is not deterministic. His characters also inherit resilience, creativity, and love. 4. Identity and visibility. Who gets to be called native? What makes someone authentically indigenous? These questions recur throughout the novel. Many characters feel caught between worlds, not native enough for some, too visibly native for others. Orville's struggle to understand his heritage through digital media reflects the changing forms of cultural transmission. The novel insists that native identity is not fixed or monolithic. It is diverse, evolving, and self-defined. 5. Violence, hope, and survival. The novel's violent climax is both shocking and symbolic. Just as the characters come together to celebrate identity, their gathering is disrupted by internalized and systemic violence. The powwow heist underscores how poverty, marginalization, and historical neglect produce cycles of harm. Yet even in the face of tragedy, the novel holds on to hope. The final image of Orville lying wounded, trying to breathe, is ambiguous but powerful. He is not defeated. The story continues. Style and structure. Orange employs a non-linear, multi-voiced narrative, weaving in first-person, second-person, and third-person perspectives. This kaleidoscopic form reflects the fragmentation of identity and the diversity of native experience. The prose is urgent, lyrical, and infused with rage, humor, and tenderness. The inclusion of historical vignettes, modern media references, and poetic interludes enriches the narrative texture. Orange's language is accessible yet profound, making their both an emotional and intellectual experience. Conclusion. Tommy Orange's There is a literary tour de force, innovative in form, urgent in theme, and deeply humane in its portrayal of modern indigenous life. By centering urban native voices, Orange redefines what it means to be native in the 21st century. His characters are not symbols or relics but complicated, flesh and blood individuals, struggling, surviving, and finding meaning. The novel is a powerful challenge to erasure and a reminder that there is here. That native people are not gone, not mythical, not past. They are present, diverse, and very much alive. There is not only a novel, it is a memorial, a celebration, and a reckoning.